Welcome to Agency Bytes, a podcast for agency owners, hosted by agency veteran and coach Steve Guberman. Agency Bytes is a podcast focused on delivering actionable agency information from agency experts in about 25 minutes. Why 25 minutes? Because who has the attention span for much more these days? And you can squeeze in a listen between meetings with time for a bathroom break or coffee refill before your next meeting.
Welcome to Agency Bytes, a podcast dedicating to helping creative entrepreneurs thrive. I'm Steve Guberman from Agency Outsight, where I coach agency owners to build the business of their dreams. Welcome back to Agency Bytes. Today, I'm joined by Dr. Jeremy Weisz, entrepreneur, podcasting expert, and co-founder of Rise 25. Since 2008, he's been interviewing top founders and CEOs from brands like Pixar, P90X, Atari, and RX Bars on Inspired Insider. That's his podcast. Through Rise 25, he helps B2B businesses connect with their Dream 200 clients using podcasts without all the heavy lifting. Beyond business, Jeremy has some wild stories that we're going to get into, like the time his wife delivered their second child in their minivan, not on purpose. And fun fact, he wears basketball shorts under everything. Jeremy, thanks for being here.
Steve, thanks for having me. I love your podcast, and I love how you guys talk about the niche and everything else. So people should definitely check out more episodes.
Appreciate the plug. So do you have basketball shorts on right now?
The funny thing is, I always wear them. Okay. When it's warm out, obviously I don't, I don't know if you can see me, but I'm wearing
There you go.
I don't even have them under anything today. It's actually warm in Chicago. So
I'm
ready to go.
Business from the waist up and basketball hoops from the waist down. I dig it. Yeah.
I'm always ready.
Yeah. All right. So give us the backstory, man. How did you get into Rise 25? Why podcasting? Why now? Or not even now? Why for the past 12, 15 years, whatever it's been?
Yeah. So the quick story is, my background's in biochemistry as a chiropractor. In chiropractic school, they teach you to be a chiropractor. They don't teach you anything about business. So when I got out, I started going to business conferences and internet conferences and marketing conferences. And I stumbled across, at the time, I don't even know if they were, Steve, calling it podcasting. We're talking 2006, 7, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was basically chatting with people and publishing it online. Okay. And I really took to it because it kind of incorporates everything I love, which is professional development and learning. I get to learn. It incorporates networking because I get to talk to really cool people. And from business development standpoint, I'm talking to people and relationships that could be, lead to business down the line. Right. So all of these things, and really, I just geek out on talking to other founders, entrepreneurs. I guess it's also therapy in a sense too for me. And so I started interviewing people online at the time. It had nothing to do with healthcare, chiropractic. It was really just my thirst for learning from other founders and successful entrepreneurs. And I started doing that. And what happened was I formed amazing relationships with people through that, as you know. And people started coming to me asking me to help them, right? Because at that point, there weren't many people, there weren't like it is today. It wasn't widely known. People didn't know what a podcast was. And so I was getting emails and calls from people around helping them, right? And so by accident, that turned into a separate business. I didn't go out to set out and create, it's always accidental agency owner, right? And even the funny thing is, see, for the first, who knows, like 4 years, I was helping people launch and run their podcast. I didn't even know what an agency was. I didn't even think of myself as an agency. I was just helping people with a problem. And then one of my friends, Ian Garlic, was like, dude, you're an agency. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, there's this arena called agency and you should look into it. And so I started digging into, oh my God, there's other people that run companies like this, like a digital agency. And that's how naive I was at the time. You know what I mean?
You just didn't know what you didn't know. There it is.
No idea. Like there's this whole universe. And then I started digging into content and things around running an agency.
Do you consider yourself an agency?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, I don't know what the definition of everyone's, is for agency, but like basically serving the clients in a done for you fashion is kind of how I define it. So yeah, we do that obviously for podcasting. We'll get people on podcasts. We do gifting even for companies as well. It's all done for you. Easy button.
Yeah. So those are two really awesome services that I want to dig into for agencies because, well, first I want to say you're talking almost 20 years ago that you started doing this. And probably close to 20, 25 years ago, I met a guy. I was living kind of down the Jersey Shore. Any story that starts with I met a guy down the Jersey Shore doesn't end well. But this one, uh, I was a freelancer working for an agency, and I was freelancing on the side, and so I'd go to these networking things to try and find freelance clients. I met this dude, also named Steve Lubedkin, and his business was Podcast Steve. 20 something years ago, nobody heard, and everybody was like, "What is this podcast?" Like,
Yeah.
Apple hadn't even launched podcasts yet. Like, it wasn't a mainstream household term yet. And fast forward now, everybody's got it. I mean, millions of podcasts get launched every year, probably. You're leaning into it to help agencies promote themselves, use it as a lead gen tool. So talk about that as the benefit to what agencies should, might benefit from.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the way I think about it is this. The fundamental principle I kind of come from is how do I give to my network? How do I give to people in my
Yeah.
network? And that could be clients, could be referral partners. And so one of obviously my medium of choice is podcasting. I form an amazing, connection, relationship. I get to learn about them. It's also professional development. So it's kind of like a Swiss Army knife, right? It's professional development, it's networking, it's referral partnerships, it's potential clients, it's SEO because it gets turned in, it's social media marketing. This one 30-minute conversation, because we could have this conversation. Hey, Steve, you'd be like, Jeremy, let's do a get to know me call. I mean, this could be
Hmm.
the same conversation,
Yep.
except for now we capture it and it could just go a lot further. And it can be used for all of those pieces. So it's also authority, right? Because the more guests I've had on, you mentioned some of the people I've, had on the show, that is authority. Be like, if I'm reaching out and say, hey, I've had the, co-founder of Pixar, P90X, RX Bar, Quest Nutrition, I can list a lot of them. There's an authority piece to that, right?
Hmm.
And so also just creating content, I think, we talk about, these are external guests, right? But there's thought leadership episodes. Okay. And thought leadership episodes are like highlighting our, so we've done episodes and people can check out free, you do too, like free stuff that people can learn and do it themselves. Or, if they want and they don't want to try and figure it all out, then, want the fast track. So we've had episodes on how do I name my podcast? What software and tools do I use? I mean, we give away all of the
Yeah.
information on Inspired Insider to help as well. So, I mean, there's so many reasons why I love it and I do it. And so, it's a shortcut in my opinion.
I think you nail a really good point that just in general, the idea of marketing, especially in our industries, isn't about, it can't be about sell, sell, sell. It's got to be about giving away, being of service, being helpful, telling people like what's in my brain, what's in my heart, how can I inspire, how can I help? And then if it resonates and you want more, cool. Let's work together. You know what I mean? Let's engage um in an
I
agency
think of
model.
it,
But
when I've talked to people, Steve, about this is like, sometimes I've talked to people, even myself, sometimes I think of, they're afraid to give away everything.
yeah.
Okay. And that's like, I know if I'm afraid to give it away, it's super valuable. Okay. And so
Hmm.
I've learned just to give away as much as humanly possible, because the right people will want to work with me.
Yep.
Okay. Like the people who want to do it themselves are not a good fit. Right. So I give away everything to those people. Awesome. So hopefully it helps them. They can do it. But the right people, I'll track the right people. This sounds great. I don't want to do any of this. The people are too busy. They want to focus on their zone of genius. Those are the right people. So I think I've talked to people like, well, I don't know if I want to share that. I'm like, well, why? Because you'll just
Yeah.
attract the right people anyways, in my opinion.
Yeah. And the reality is what you can get out of a 60-second short reel or a 25-minute podcast isn't what's going to solve all of your business challenges or your marketing challenges or whatever. And so, yeah, get to know Jeremy, get to know Rise 25, understand how to launch a podcast. But the reality is, if you want the true rubber meets the road results, we need to have an engagement. So yeah, I fully agree with that. Talk about, I think that it's a beautiful, business practice. I learned about it a number of years ago. Where'd you kind of pick this up, and how did you like start to incorporate it into your marketing
From
plan?
which the first part cut out for a second. Incorporating podcasting or
Your Dream
oh,
200.
Dream 200. Yeah. So Chet Holmes wrote a great book,
Hmm.
actually, and so it's not like we invented this, right? It's Chet Holmes came up with this, and I had actually Amanda on my podcast, his daughter, who kind of carried on the
Oh,
tradition.
cool.
He wrote The Ultimate Sales Machine,
Yep.
and it talks about this, and it talks about just reaching your dream. And for me, I think, he talks about dream clients, right? The way I think of it is kind of a little more holistic, which is I consider the Dream 200. It could be clients, it could be referral or strategic partners, it could be just authorities in that space. And
Hmm.
so for me, that's kind of the foundation for the podcast and for the strategy, actually. So focusing in on who are the best relationships that I want to give to and make sure to zero in on, right? And you talk
Yeah.
about this when you talk about niche, right? And sometimes we'll have people come to us and they're like, well, I'm like a wealth manager. My niche is people who have money. I'm like, well, that's not really a niche. You can't really target it. Like to me, I think of, obviously there's warm people that we know, but from a cold people perspective, really the way I break it down is consultants or practice management groups in an industry,
Hmm.
trade associations in industry, conferences in industry, software or services in industry, and speakers and authors. So like when we drill down with that person, I'm like, listen, and you talk about this too, who are your best clients? Like who do you love working with? Do you get the best results for? And meet all those criteria and profitable. Obviously, hopefully it's profitable or you don't stay in business.
Profitable, and you enjoy working with them.
Right,
Like they
totally.
let you do your job. Like those are two key elements as well. But yeah.
Exactly. And so when it came down to it, he's talked about dentists. Like we looked at his list of clients, and for some reason, I think like 30 or 40% of them were dentists. We're like, did you realize this is the key?
Yep.
I'm like, because anyone with money is not really a good target niche. There's not like an industry trade association. Maybe there is, but like Wealth Magazine or something. I don't know. But we went in dentist, like we can work with that. And so we thought about who's kind of the Dream 200 sphere in that specific niche. And it makes it very easy to do it, when we're that targeted. Okay, what are the conferences? What are the trade associations? What are the software? All those things we can look at for that niche and look at kind of that Dream 200 sphere.
Yeah. I was introduced to the concept. So when I had my agency, year 3 or 4 or so, we started to niche down and we identified 4 different verticals that we wanted to really lean into. So to your point, we can go to the trade associations, we can get into the LinkedIn discussion groups, we can start to be seen as experts in those different spaces. But I was introduced to the idea of it. It was a Dream 100 list when I was introduced to it, also through Chet Holmes' book. And I was running a sales team at my last engagement before I opened the coaching practice. And the idea was each person on the sales team needed to identify a an area of passion or a vertical that they were going to lean into and find 100 businesses that they wanted to reach out to, that they wanted to work with, and then the top 3 to 5 people within those. And so now you know who to target. Now you know how to lean into them. And to your point, and I love the parallel here, it lets you understand who you're going to reach out to in these different areas, how you're going to hone your content, how you're going to hone the topic of your podcast. And yeah, when an agency or any service provider looks at their historical client list, you can easily pull out the commonalities and say, oh, 60% of my clients have been dentists, or we worked with a wealth management company and they also found, oh, more than 2/3 of our clients were retiring or near retirement university professors. Like, duh, look for the commonalities. And so, yeah, I love the idea of it. I'll typically work with agencies to focus on like a Dream 25 or Dream 50 or, something sub 100 because it can get very overwhelming in a smaller, like 10 to 12 person agency. So yeah, I think it's a beautiful process. But you talk about using podcasts to kind of build out that list. Do you talk about using that list to turn them into guests to build those relationships, or to build content to target those people, or both?
Oh, I mean, both. I mean, listen, like we have a lot of partners who are agency owners, right? So
Hmm.
it's not shocking that I have agency owners on my podcast. And by the way,
Right.
it goes both ways, because when I build my network of agency owners, I can make a lot of referrals and introductions to those people in the network. So I like to be of service. So,
Yeah.
you know, I'll give that as an example. If agency owners are great partners for us, and I feature a lot of agency owners, we refer to them, they can refer to us. Obviously, if someone does Google ads, we really stick to what we are good at. We don't do anything really outside of that. So it makes us a good referral partner for other people, because, like, hey, we don't do this, go do this. Oh, you want a website done, go to this person. You want Google ads, go to this person.
Hmm.
So we build this network of referral partners. And now agencies, have become our clients, and that kind of surprised me at first, because that wasn't really the intention, right? It was just to build a great network of partners. Because I'm like, even some of the agency owners we work with, they have full capabilities to do everything, right? But they want to serve their clients. They don't obviously specialize in what we specialize in with the strategy and everything. But when they're sharing the content, so one is obviously the relationship, but two, what you're saying, when they, we'll create a snippet out of it, put it on social, and it makes it shareable. And it's all about their company and what they do. So they want to share it because it
Right.
talks about them. um, a lot of times their network are other agency owners, right? So that's so when they share the content, it's going out to that sphere of people. Same thing with the dentist. Like, if I put out a content like that dentist, like, I know because my dad and brother are dentists, so they know a lot of other dentists, and the people they're
Hmm.
connected with on, like, LinkedIn and some of these platforms are dentists. So it's kind of I don't know, self-fulfilling prophecy. When you have people in that niche, they're going to know other people and share it with people in that niche.
Is the gifting strategy that you work with your clients on connected to podcasting, kind of separate? How do they dovetail?
Yeah, I mean, so again, we when we look at when we use Active Campaign as a CRM, and so we look at the
Hmm.
pipeline. We look at all the columns are ways we can give to people, right? So we can have them on a podcast. Have I introduced anyone to Steve lately? Have we featured them in our physical newsletter with an insert? Have we sent them a gift? And so we started actually sending gifts to our clients and partners. And I know people and our staff too. And so actually, that was just an accident. So our clients and partners started asking us to help them do it, because I looked at a lot of solutions and I wanted something that was kind of custom. Well, we do it for my wife's practice. That was custom to, like, you could just custom to her branding and everything like that.
Yep.
And we go against some rules, Steve, on this, because one, there's people out there, a lot of people out there say don't send food because it gets eaten and then disappears. I like
Yep.
getting food personally. Um, so we send food, and it's not like a one-time thing, but we like to send multiple things over the course of several years. So it's not just like, hey, here's a thing of chocolates. Thank you. We're just thinking of you. So it wasn't really specific to the podcast. It was just more like, who are the relationships we want to give to, and what are the ways we can give to those relationships. It could be putting a social post up about them, right?
Yep.
So that's in the column too. Like, hey, have we posted about Steve and his company yet also?
So you're not really doing it just for guests, you're doing it for everybody, but you're not just doing seasonality to it. Is it like, and I'm trying to think how agency owners can use it for remaining front of mind for,
Yeah.
I don't believe in saying thanks before there's like a closed engagement necessarily. Like, you don't want to reward people for bad behavior, but like incremental times of year or parts of a strategy, or like, you know,
Yeah.
and you talk about like the ROI of it. Like, how do you see the uptick there?
Yeah. So, like, I mean, like you said, some people which I was actually surprised about because we have touch points obviously with our staff just to
Hmm.
like say thank you and appreciate them, right? We have touch points with clients, same thing, and touch points with referral partners. I have found a number of people that we work with and who will send it to their potential clients, like prospects, which I was a little surprised about. And one person I talked to on this, I go, why don't you send this to your client? They've already paid you money.
Yeah.
They obviously value you. Send it to your clients and partners. And they were like, no, we just want to send it to our prospects. So I'm like, okay. It's just, I guess, a little bit different philosophy, but I like to send, maybe 2 to 4 a year for years to people just to say thank you. And we do include some, specific tips on there for ours, right? So it's not just like a thank you, but it's like if it's a client, it's going to have a message like, don't forget to mention other guests that you've had on the show to give to them, right? And so it's going to have, each one's going to have like a podcast tip. So instead of
Nice.
like a drip sequence of an email, it's actually a physical stationery that they'll get, and maybe they read it, maybe they don't, because they just pluck out the food and eat it. But no, we have gotten feedback like, okay, that was a good reminder. And they're not long, so it takes 30 seconds. I mean, this one's super short. You can see
Yep.
it takes 30 seconds to read it. So we do like it to be content as well.
So branded, memorable, and continuing on the theme of
Yeah,
helpful, like give something that I can take and be like, oh yeah, I should be able to integrate that into my podcast or into my marketing, or something that I can utilize and think, oh, thanks, Jeremy, thanks, Rise 25.
exactly.
Yeah.
And it's something I'd want to get.
Okay, that
Yeah.
works. That's a good tip for people thinking like, what do I do for gifting?
I mean,
So
there's
I have
there's one. I
clients.
mean, that's like a campaign. Like, there's also obviously people who can do one-off gifting type of stuff, which are usually larger. Like if some of partners referred us a bunch, and we're already sending them something every 3 months. We may get. I've gotten people like huge thing of Omaha steaks. Like it just comes a huge, like just in dry ice, whatever.
Yeah.
I've gotten people a man crate. I don't know if you've seen those before, but like you have to pry it open. It's like a wooden box. You have to pry it open the crowbar, and it had like a customized like whiskey bottle with like glasses and like so there's bigger things that we could send, but
Yep.
kind of on a regular basis, it's kind of more smaller, more affordable, so that we can keep sending it over a long period of time.
Nice. I love that. I love the non-generic, personable side of things with that. I think that that's super important. Um, yeah, I'll work with clients on that as just kind of as part of their outreach and staying front of mind strategy, but not nearly on the level that you guys are doing it. And it's more of like, all right, maybe don't do it during the holidays because everybody's getting flooded with
A
nonsense.
hundred
Do it,
percent, a
a
hundred
different time
percent.
of year or something.
Yeah, a lot of people I talk to who have doing something, they usually literally only send it on the holidays, and I'm like, that's literally the most crowded
Yep.
time to send it, and people are going away, they're on vacation, they're with family, and it's just super crowded.
Yeah. So, agency owners, there's the tip. Launch a podcast with Rise 25 and build out a gifting strategy with Rise 25. And that way you are front of mind physically and audibly. Yeah, audibly. There you go. Perfect. And check out Jeremy on I'm sorry, I'm going to butcher
Inspired
Inspired
Insider.
Insider. I don't know why those
I
two
picked a
words
very
connected.
hard name to
And I love
pronounce.
alliteration, so it's funny to me that like that's so hard for me. Wrapping this up, I'm going to throw some random. I have a randomizer for my rapid fire questions these days. So these are totally from a robot randomized. So if your agency had a mascot, what would it be?
Oh gosh, a mascot. We've thought about this before, and we couldn't really come up with a good one. At one, I think John Corker, my business partner, I think because it's like you want this cool little thing like Mailchimp or something.
Right.
But I think at one point we had thrown out hippo, but I'm like hippos are kind of dangerous.
The
So
most dangerous.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, like, something that's like love, warm, giving, maybe like a teddy bear or something. I don't know.
kind of comes to mind when I think about like loving and snuggling and giving. Yeah.
Exactly.
If you had an extra hour in your day, how would you spend it?
Um, I feel like, yeah, I need an extra hour in my day. You know, my first thing I think of is working out. But I kind of probably split like 30 minutes of working out and 30 minutes with just like a leisurely family meal.
Nice. I love that. Can't get enough of those. There is a finite number of family meals available. So, finally, what's one of the worst pieces of business advice you've ever had?
Who? Um, Let me think. It comes with I don't know if it's I define as the worst, but like it's more coming from the person. I've gotten advice from really smart people, except they weren't knowledgeable on that specific topic. Like maybe they were really good at business and it
Mhm.
was like a health thing that they were, talking to me about. I'm like, kind of thinking like, look at yourself. Like you're not like a beacon, like you're giving me advice on this. So it's kind of the advice was around that I've gotten is look at the person giving it to you and have they done it or are they doing it?
Yeah.
And I've gotten definitely advice from people that I kind of have to sift out that are mean well, but they aren't doing it and they haven't done it before.
Yeah. Consider the source. Absolutely. Folks, if you haven't connected with Jeremy, he is probably one of the most giving connectors on the entire planet, on the internet, on the anything. Connect with Jeremy, Rise 25. Check out his podcast, start your own podcast. Jeremy, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate you and appreciate your knowledge and your time.
Steve, thanks. And check out more episodes of Agency Outsight. I love it. I've listened to a bunch.
That means the world to me. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks again for tuning in to Agency Bytes. If you know someone with expert knowledge on a topic that agency owners would love to hear about, go to agencyoutsight.com/podcast-guest and nominate them.